Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Transfer News Latest. Now, we have a lot of news to get into today, including Newcastle finally finding a striker, a deal involving someone called Xavi Simons, some other stuff, and a whole lot more. So let's get into it. Before I get started, I would like to please remind you guys to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Also, comment down below on your thoughts on the current transfer news. Now, I would like to start with essentially everything I've said in my YouTube shorts in the past few days. Also, go and watch those if you haven't already. So, the first one is Nick Voltemade has signed for Newcastle in a record-breaking deal, where Newcastle will pay 80 million euros plus add-ons. This means that Alexander Isak can now leave Newcastle and go to Liverpool. And Newcastle is still interested in Wissa, who doesn't want to stay at Brentford, so I think more is to come on that story. Then a massive story came through as Alejandro Garnacho agreed to sign for Chelsea for 7 years and for a fee of £40 million. Now, this has been a story that has been reported on since July, so it's good that's finally over. And hopefully he gets rid of his attitude and does well for us. Then overnight, a bombshell broke as Xavi Simons signed for Tottenham. So now I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a Chelsea fan. So this wasn't really good for me, because, well, Chelsea were in the running for him, and he preferred to come to Chelsea, but Chelsea never made an offer for him, and Tottenham did make an offer worth 60 million euros, and Leipzig agreed to it. And so, while he was in London the last few days, he completed his medical and signed his contract, which lasts until 2030 with an option to extend for another 2 years. But now it seems Tottenham are on a roll, as this is stuff that's not on the shorts now. And Tottenham have made an approach to Man City for Manuel Akanji. And while AC Milan are also in talks for a move for the defender, and they are ready to pay £15 million, well, yeah, it could be an interesting thing. Apparently, he's a player Man City fans want gone, so it would be a win for all parties involved, I'm pretty sure. But I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. But it looks more and more like Akanji will leave Manchester City, but the only question is where he will go. There has also been news on the other side of London, as Jakub Kiwior has agreed to sign for Porto on loan with an obligation to buy. Apparently, the loan fee is €2 million, with Porto obligated to pay 17 million at the end of the season. But with add-ons and stuff, that fee could rise by an extra 10 million at most. And Kiwior is now scheduled to fly to Porto in the next 24 hours as soon as all the documents are approved. And because Kiwior's gone, in return, Arsenal have gone out and signed Piero Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen. Now, this was a defender wanted by initially Chelsea, but then Arsenal and Tottenham muscled in to try and get him, and of course Arsenal won. Arsenal will pay 52 million euros with a sell-on clause, and the medical is set to follow soon. This is definitely another strong addition to an already strong Arsenal backline, though I can't wait to see how many trophies he won't win with Arsenal this season. And now we move over to the world champions, did it again, in Chelsea, who have signed Facundo Buonanotte on loan from Brighton. Apparently this is a straight loan with no buy option included, and understands that Chelsea will have a chance to bid for him in the future and get Buonanotte if they do agree a deal with Brighton. But also understand that the loan of Buonanotte to Chelsea is the consequence of Xavi Simons to Tottenham. And Chelsea's recruitment team really believe in Facundo's ability, says Fabrizio Romano. I really do have to ask, is Chelsea's recruitment team just Todd Bowley? Because once again, we bought from Brighton. And speaking of, this isn't the only player that Brighton have sold to Bluecoat in the last week, as Julio Enciso has just been bought by Bluecoat Group. What? Apparently, they agreed a deal with Brighton and medical's all done, and he will sign a 5-year contract. Oh, okay, so Enciso's going to Strasbourg on a permanent deal, and then there could be a chance he signs for Chelsea. Another interesting signing. It's just interesting that no football club signed him, and it was just the owners of a football club. But that's just me. However, going back to Xavi Simons, because Chelsea missed out on him, they're now looking at a potential move for Fermin Lopez, because Buonanotte wasn't enough. There were direct calls between Chelsea officials and Fermin Lopez's agents yesterday, from my understanding, and the objective is to understand the situation of the player. However, Barcelona are convinced that Fermin Lopez won't leave, but Chelsea are still trying to persuade him. So now the decision rests entirely on the player, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I hate it when that happens, but he'll have to make a decision quickly. The transfer window, and he's got just under 48 hours left. But staying with Chelsea, and they've also made some significant outgoings, such as was confirmed this morning, and Nicholas Jackson has agreed a loan move to Bayern Munich. Bayern will pay €15 million as a loan fee for this season, with the option to buy, not mandatory, and it will be for €80 million with a sell-on clause. From the sounds of it, I don't think Bayern are going to pay it. But anyway, he is set to fly to Bavaria with his agent today to complete his medical. Cool. Honestly, I'm glad we got him out the door when he was probably not going to play. In addition, AS Roma keep negotiating with Chelsea for Tyreek George, and talks are always ongoing on the player side. And Roma are open to a permanent deal, but conditions like the sell-on clause are still being negotiated. Though I do think the move to Roma could also be good for him, as we've seen how good Tammy Abraham was for them. But I'll save the soppy speech for when the deal's agreed. But Roma have also agreed to a deal to sign Jan Zielkowski from Legia Warsaw for €6 million. And despite bids from Germany, the player only wanted to go to AS Roma. I do remember talking about this in a video a few weeks ago, so it's good that the deal is now complete. And in addition, Roma have now signed Kostas Tsimikas on loan from Liverpool. The loan deal was agreed, and he's authorised for travel and medical tests. AS Roma will cover his salary until June, as Tsimikas really wanted the move, says Fabrizio Romano. This is good for Liverpool that he's finally gone, because he wouldn't have got any playing time with Andy Robertson and Milos Kerkez in the left-back position. Now we move to another red club, and that is Manchester United. The first piece of big news I have comes from Thursday night, when Kobbie Mainoo asked to leave Manchester United and go out on loan. This is obviously because he wants more game time than he's being given right now at Manchester United. Well, that was immediately rejected by Manchester United, who stated that they have no intention for Mainoo to leave, not even on loan. This is because he remains valued at the club. So United want Mainoo to stay and fight out for game time. If you ask me, I think United should send out Mainoo on loan. The kid is class, and he needs game time, which he isn't getting much of at Manchester United at the moment. After all, I'm pretty sure his first start this season was against Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. Also, not to mention that United are looking for another midfielder and a new goalkeeper. So given United's performance against Grimsby, I would leave the midfielders and focus on the new goalkeeper. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I think Mainoo should go out on loan. Plus, everyone has seen that as soon as players leave United, they turn out doing really well. Antony, Rashford, Asensio, Sancho, to an extent. So that could also mean that concrete offers come in from clubs who want to buy him later down the line, but who knows. With just under 48 hours left in the transfer window, hopefully United and Kobbie Mainoo come to an agreement. And you know how I mentioned that United should focus on a new goalkeeper? Well, my next story is going to surprise everyone. United are preparing one final to push to sign Senne Lammens. I think I said that right. Anyway, talks are accelerating this weekend to sign the goalkeeper from Royal Antwerp, and looks like the deal is on, and I'm sure this deal will be completed very soon. Honestly, if you ask me, I think United should go back and sign David De Gea from wherever he came from, because it proves that they sign great goalkeepers. Anyway, in some final stories from the Premier League, and Nottingham Forest have signed John Victor from Botafogo, and Forest are booking his medical for this weekend. This was obviously the goalkeeper that West Ham tried to sign for a week. No, I mean, they tried... West Ham spent a week trying to sign him, and they failed, so that's why they got Hermansen, who looks to be really good, if you look at West Ham's thing. Anyway, I think Victor will be good for Forest because they're in the Europa League, and well, he will definitely get game time over Matt Sells, and yeah, should have written more down for him. Anyway, and Wolves have agreed a deal in principle to sign Tolu Arokodare as a new striker from Genk. Yeah, the medical is booked on Saturday for the new striker, and they've agreed a deal to sign him from Genk for 27 million euros. Fair enough. And in two more stories for you today. First, it is Villarreal have signed the deal to sign George Mikotadze from Lyon for 30 million euros. The medical is booked for Sunday. Apparently, this is special to Villarreal, as they had originally wanted Artem Dovbyk, but that deal was never completed. Let's not forget that they also signed Renato Vega from Chelsea, but that story came through that story came through while I was away, so I forgot to mention it. But it looks that Villarreal could be a strong team in La Liga this season. And finally, Kerem Aktürkoğlu is leaving Benfica and returning to Turkey. The deal has been agreed with Fenerbahce to pay Benfica 25 million euros, including add-ons. This was a deal the player had wanted since July as well, so I think it's good that's finally been done. And yeah, I'm sure more and more stories will come through over the weekend, as the deadline day is tomorrow. But right now, that's all I have for you today. Thank you all so very much for watching, probably all two of you. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and get your comments in on your thoughts on the current transfer news. Thank you, and goodbye.